It is actually alarming how much peace this brings me. I was just, before sitting here, thinking about all of the things that I need to do. And then I sat down and I started reading, and I feel fantastic right now. I feel absolutely wonderful and refreshed. It's 7 o'clock. It's Sunday night, and I had the thought of, why don't I see how many books, pages, whatever you want to call it, how much I can read this week. I'm going to read before work and after work, and we're just going to track it. So I, last night, remembered, after looking at my shrine, aka bookshelf, how much I loved this book. This was one of my top reads from last year, A Million Junes by Emily Henry. It is a young adult magical realism. There is a family feud romance attached to it, and it's fantastic. It is so good. This screams summer to me, and this weekend was the first warm weekend that's summer's here. So a little bit of a summer feel good something. I don't really care to finish this book because it is a reread, so I just kind of picked it up, wanted to read it. Mainly because the book I'm currently reading, The Librarian of Auschwitz. I went back to Washington, D.C. this spring and went to the Holocaust Museum for the second time. The first was when I was probably 13, and I'm 25. It was as you would expect it to be. And I've had this book in my room since 2018, says the receipt that I found in it. Can't really tell you why I haven't picked it up since then. I did, my several year reading slump happened probably months after I bought this book. Anyway, none of that matters. I'm in the middle of reading this, and I did actually pause and pick up A Cowboy Romance, and then I picked up this one. It's just heavy, and so I am going to read more of that this week, but I just wanted a little feel good, so I'm going to continue with A Million Junes. I'm starting on page 28 today. I read the first 28 pages yesterday before bed, and so it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to read it for however long I want to read it for. Might pop back to that one, and we'll see how much we can read this week. I am clocking out for the first session of reading. I want to say that was 93 pages. And I was thinking as I was reading, I've been very scatterbrained without having gotten back into my normal routines. And I wouldn't even call them normal, to be honest. I'm terrible with a routine. I really don't like the redundancy or the feeling of redundancy in life. But Atomic Habits was like, no, that's the best thing ever. You should love that. It's like, but I don't. I don't like feeling like every day is the same and that you do the same thing at every time of every day. It reminds me of that scene in the Little Prince Netflix cartoon where the adults wake up and all scurry to work and then scurry back home and then it's dark. I don't know, that was a very potentially niche example. Anyway, I don't like that feeling, so I don't keep to my routine very well. But I just did a full night routine for the first time in a long time, and I feel fantastic. So maybe there's something to be said about it. But tomorrow, I know I'm not, I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to continue with The Librarian of Auschwitz tomorrow morning, and hopefully get a good reading session in, maybe read outside in the morning, soak in some sunshine. Very quick update for Monday's reading. I ended up reading 40 pages before work, and then after work I met a friend for drinks, so there was no reading after work, and then this morning sleep was the priority, so there was no reading before work. So now we're going to work, and then tonight hoping to get a good reading stint after work. Okay, it's Wednesday morning. I had a decent run of it yesterday after work. I think I read 142 pages yesterday, and I even went to the gym, walked with a million Junes on the treadmill. I've needed this combo because this makes you just about as mad at humanity as you could possibly ever be. This one is a historical fiction that is, I would say, inspired by a true story, because at the very beginning we get a note from like our main character, who was a real person that was part of the children's block in the Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp. This is her. She literally says that despite the historical correctness of the narrative, it is not a documentary. It is a story born both from my own experience and the rich imagination of the author. But yeah, this is just the most devastating. So when this gets a little too much, we go back to this one. And I mentioned it was a 5-star, but I am just so pleased that this has not lost its sparkle in the last year. It is still so wonderful. I'm just having the best time diving back into it. I don't reread very often because I do feel a fair amount of pressure to like read new books and, you know, keep reading and keep whatever. So I tend not to pick up a reread for like the full reread. If I remember like my favorite part of the book, I'll reread that part and then move on. But I highlighted a whole page on my last page that I finished. I'm having a better time with this being a combo read of something, you know. This is book, the most, like the largest theme is grief. So this is still not this happy-go-lucky whatever, but it's a different. This just makes me angry, but I think it is so important. So here we are. We have a like unexpected tandem. This is not something that I would, oh, this pairs well together. It's just desperately needed. Otherwise, I don't think I could work. This is not a binge read, but I think if I did read too much of it, I couldn't function. So this is coming in little pockets and then filling in the rest with this one. Oh my goodness, I love it so much. It is so underrated. No one talks about some of Emily Henry's earlier books. The Love That Split the World is also stunning. The like female main character, male main character duo in that is just amazing. When the Sky Fell on Splendor, it wasn't my favorite, but I'm not really a sci-fi. This has just turned into an Emily Henry soapbox. Last thing I will say is her towns are such a character in her early books. Similar in some of her newer ones. Obviously Happy Place, like that's the places, like those locations become part of the character dynamic. But I just feel like in these, it just hits a little bit different. So we're in Five Fingers, Michigan, and I love it. I love it here. Never been to Michigan, but I love Five Fingers, Michigan. Now I have even less time to read because I've been yapping. But I have work starting sooner than I'd like. So let's continue. I think I'm going to read a chapter of this and then finish it off with a chapter of this just to get me in an okay mood for the morning. I think work would appreciate that. So it's been a few days. I don't remember, but I think Wednesday was the last check-in, and it's Sunday night. It could have been Thursday, maybe. I'm not too sure. Either way, my notes, I'm surprised I even kept those, tell me that Wednesday was 86 pages total. Thursday was 125 pages, and that included finishing A Million Junes. And I said it once, say it a million times, always my 5-star. It is amazing, and I think what's great is that the reread actually helped me pick up on more of the last few chapters, because I think the first time I read it, I was just so excited. So I think I might have accidentally sped read it because there were a few details that I definitely missed in the first read that I picked up on in my reread, which was fantastic. Friday, I had a total of 36 pages,
And then Saturday, a total of 74, both of which were the Librarian of Auschwitz. Still working on that one. It's about 60% complete. So I went 93, 40, 142, 86, 125, 36, and 74 with a grand total of 596 pages read for the week, which was about 85 pages on average. There were definitely far heavier reading days than others. That matches my personality of obsessiveness. I'm also quite proud because I went to the gym, was it 4 or 5 times this week? I think 4 times this week, after having not gone in months. What else? The Librarian of Auschwitz is just the most devastating thing, and it's just so hard for me to get through. I just need to take it in piece and piece and piece. There have been several times, which is mostly why I haven't really included that one as much in my reading documentation. I think most of my documentation was on A Million Junes, because there were several times that you just read a line and you just close the book and have a quick cry because you have to. It is devastating, and as I mentioned, the angriest you will ever be at humanity. Reading that, she's 14. And it is just, I just keep using the word devastating because it is. And so that's where we're at with that one. I'm taking it slowly and need to find something else now that A Million Junes is done to balance that out, because I haven't read today at all because I'm not ready for it. I'm not ready for it. There were some things that happened at the end of my reading yesterday that I just decided to pause for a tiny bit. So, have I read today, actually? Was that a lie? I might have. No, I don't think I've read today. Anyway, I'm not completely mad with 596 pages. One book done and 160% complete around my 9 to 5 responsibilities, and also threw in some gym time. Time to plan the next week of what we're gonna read, what we're going to work on. I don't know. I'm in a little bit of a lull at the moment, so we'll see what happens.